There's nothing nicer than a homemade pie made with a rich shortcrust pastry. And I'm going to use the pastry to make our own Thai-style green curry pie, which is just quite delicious. We're going to start with the pastry, which we're doing in a food processor just to show you how easy it is. So we need to put the dry ingredients first, and we want to measure the flour. We need about 2 cups. You always want to put the flour into your measuring cup because you get a completely different measurement if you dig. About 2 tablespoons of caster sugar and a little pinch of salt. And we want to process that just to mix the dry ingredients. And we want to add chilled butter. It needs to be unsalted butter, which is the best thing to use for pastry. And we want to cut it into even little slices or squares so it distributes really easily in the food processor. Just to crumb it. Now it's time to add our wet ingredients. So we want to use an egg yolk, and that's what gives us a really rich shortcrust pastry. Separate your egg yolk. It actually separates easier when it's cold rather than at room temperature. You always want to use ice water, and it's about 2 tablespoons of ice water. You may need more because it varies on the day, so just keep it handy. Sprinkle it over the flour. And we've got a little bit of lemon juice just to balance out those flavors. And now we want to process just until it becomes a ball. Do not over process, otherwise the gluten in the flour starts coming out and we're overworking the dough. Looks perfect. Our pastry is beautiful and smooth. All that's left to be done is wrap it in some cling film and let it rest in the fridge for about 30 minutes. Filling is a delicious green curry chicken. We want to start with a green curry paste and some sugar. I like adding a drop of oil just to give me some moisture in there. We want to cut the chicken into strips, and the best way to do that is to flatten the chicken, cut it horizontally right through the middle, and then into nice thin little strips. They cook very, very quickly. We want to stir the green curry paste with the sugar just to dissolve the sugar. And then add some beautiful fresh ginger. Now all the chicken can go in. And stir it quite well so that the pieces separate when it's cooking. So the chicken pieces don't really need to be cooked on their own for too long. The coconut milk will just infuse and give them lots of flavor. Now we want to add some eggplant or whatever vegetable you'd like. Let's give that a stir. And then I want to add some lime leaves and a little bit of chili just to bring out the flavor. That should be perfect. Now a little bit of lime just gives you that finishing taste. Just a nice squeeze of it in there. We want to thicken it with a little bit of flour mixed with some water into a nice paste. So I don't want any lumps. It will coat the chicken and just thicken the sauce. And you've got to keep stirring all the time as it's going into that mixture. You might need to adjust the seasoning with a little bit more lime or even some sugar, but it's the kind of thing that you need to do to your own tastes. Now we'll let it cool before we assemble it with our shortcrust pastry and pop it into the oven. You'll know your pastry's chilled when it's soft enough but a little bit firm. And my filling's also cool so it won't melt the pastry. A little bit of flour on my board. So coat it well. You don't want it sticking to the surface. And just gently roll from the middle out. And ensure that you've always got a little bit of flour. This prevents the cracking when it's cool but not too soft. Now I'm going to measure according to the dish that I'm baking. We cut a little bit bigger than we need because pastry shrinks when it bakes. That's perfect. And the excess can easily be re-rolled. And my filling is lovely and cool. Make them quite full, but not right to the top, otherwise the pastry will stick to your filling. I need to brush a little bit of water on the edge of the dish, just so that that pastry sticks. Then lift it off the rolling pin and just pop it over the top, just like that. I've got a lovely overhang, and don't worry even if it breaks a little bit, it's absolutely perfect. And just use your fingers just to press it gently onto the dish. So I'm going to cut off that excess. And what I've done is beaten some egg with a little bit of milk. And you want to brush it all over. Really make sure that you get all those edges gorgeous. What I'm going to do is just trim off these, give me a little bit of an edge here. It's sitting beautifully on the dish. A little hole for steam, just like that. And then let's roll a little bit of pastry just to make some leaves or something. So we need to brush these with a little bit of egg as well, just so we get some glaze on them. And there you have it. 2 beautiful pies ready to bake on about 200 degrees for 20 minutes. Our pies are golden brown and perfect. My crust is crispy, gorgeous. I've got a beautiful liquid inside, and a little bit of coriander just finishes off the dish. And there you have it, the perfect Thai green curry pie. Need an easy way out? Try Snowflake's range of easy mix products. From pancakes to waffles, muffins and scones, you'll always have the perfect mix.